Hi. As I've already iterated, I would always prefer to sit down next to another professional pair of eyes to work through something as big and complex as a full feature film. I think it's different with a short, although again, I'd still want an editor, but with a feature, it pays even more to have another bod there, less directly emotionally involved with the shoot. This isn't to say it has to become an expensive undertaking. All the major editing software is available on decent laptops and can be done from wherever somewhere can sit in uninterrupted peace. This isn't to say you could manage it. Should you be a director editor or producer director editor? Again, I'm here to encourage and facilitate, not to lay down laws. With me, it was always about getting the thing made, whatever the difficulties, however long it took. But a part of that was still, what am I good at? Where am I going to need help? Learning editing software, renegotiating my way around a keyboard was also a bridge too far. Never mind my feelings about how best to tell the story, but along with the other HODs, like a DOP and composer, editing is up there. An editor, given enough footage, can in theory radically recut your film, so telling your story in a completely different way, even changing the written outcome. They can also come up with genius cuts that take us visually from one place to another in the most imaginative way. David Lean was a master at this, as was his editor. I like to edit in camera. That means that by the time the camera rolls, I have a very good idea about what I want to capture and where I want to capture it from in terms of camera position. Like Steve Norrington, I hate shooting more than is really needed as a waste of time and resources. It's a fine balance though. Maybe another take delivers something better, something different from the actors that they hadn't found before, that hadn't reached before. You're never likely going to get back at this point and place in time, so it's worth taking the time and doing one more, if only for safety. I'd also reiterate whilst I'm here, not cutting the camera too early. Leave a little breathing space, because the thought line of the actors on it will be expressed after the dialogue is done. Editing is about rhythm, the ebb and the flow of the story, the beats, and the folding and weaving of the various arcs into a cohesive whole that most fruitfully get the story told in the most elegant way. There is always the danger that an unsympathetic cut, an overcut if you will actually trim the thing to death and throw the baby out with the bathwater. My editing nightmare on Offending Angels was finally resolved when director Adrian Shergold rescued me. I'd worked with him on a couple of things as an actor. He was an ex-actor himself turned BAFTA-winning director and one of my favourite directors to work with. So in my deepest, darkest hole, I showed him a rough cut of the film that I'd made. A difficult thing to do when you're making a film, but I needed to trust someone and I trusted him. He swiftly whisked me out of the dark hole I was in, physically and metaphorically, and got me another editor in a different suite. In so doing, he saved me as much as my film. What he said was I'd cut myself out of the film, or allowed myself to be cut out of the film. It wasn't surprising. Who can watch themselves day after day and not question what possessed them to do it all in the first place? But this again is the benefit of a proper editor. It may take several swings at it to find the thing you envisaged when you first shot the film. Ideally, an editor is assembling rough edits, as I say, with the footage as and when it comes in. And the director needs access to these edits, not only to feel what they're getting, but also flag up what may be missing. Having a good editor rather than someone who knows how to use the software is imperative. Most editors will read the script to get a good handle on not only the overall story, but also the tone and pacing of the piece. Hopefully the rough assemblies they create will reflect this. I came across one nightmare editor on one of my films who, having cut it, said, "Yeah, but you could cut it like this," and proceeded to show me a completely different cut of the film I'd made, lacing scenes in completely different places relative to each other. He was young and he was a film school student, and he was right, the film did still make sense the way he'd cut it, but he'd also reduced the power and the timing of the story and how it was revealed, so devaluing the film as a whole. I think he was just pleased with himself in achieving a different cut, a different interpretation, and wanted to push his interpretation as better simply because he'd done it, rather than serving the story. Editors like DOPs are a specific breed and you have to find a good one. When you do, you'll tend to stick with them and you'll quickly gain a shorthand and an understanding of where they're at and they with you and what your sensibilities are. Hopefully you don't merely select a yes man, but someone who's going to push back and have their own opinions about stuff. That's so important. I'll say it again. Movie making is a collaborative affair, and the best stuff, the most rigour, will come when you've had salty conversations about all aspects of the story and how it's told. You just need to be able to trust them rather than agree with them on everything.